Climate change refers to long-term changes in the Earth's climate, particularly changes in temperature, precipitation, and weather patterns that are caused by human activities, such as the burning of fossil fuels, deforestation, and agriculture. These activities release large amounts of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, such as carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide, which trap heat from the sun and cause the Earth's atmosphere to warm up. The warming of the Earth's atmosphere has significant impacts on natural systems, such as melting glaciers, rising sea levels, and altered precipitation patterns, as well as on human societies, including increased frequency and intensity of extreme weather events, such as heat waves, droughts, floods, and storms. Climate change is one of the most pressing global challenges of our time and requires urgent action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and adapt to the impacts of a changing climate. Climate change is expected to have a wide range of negative impacts on natural ecosystems, human societies, and the global economy. Some of the demerits of climate change include rising sea levels. As the Earth's temperature increases, melting of glaciers and ice sheets causes sea levels to rise, which can result in flooding of low-lying areas and displacement of coastal communities. Increased frequency and severity of extreme weather events. Climate change is expected to result in more frequent and severe heat waves, droughts, floods, and storms, which can damage infrastructure, crops, and property, and cause loss of life. Negative impacts on biodiversity. Climate change is expected to alter ecosystems, causing changes in the distribution and abundance of plant and animal species, and increasing the risk of extinction for some species. Impacts on human health. Climate change is expected to increase the spread of diseases, such as malaria and dengue fever, as well as increase the risk of malnutrition and heat-related illnesses. Economic costs. The costs of climate change, including damage to infrastructure, loss of agricultural productivity, and increased healthcare costs, are expected to be significant and could have a major impact on global economic growth. Overall, the demerits of climate change are diverse, and they have the potential to cause significant harm to both natural ecosystems and human societies. It is therefore important to take urgent action to mitigate the impacts of climate change and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. There is a growing recognition around the world of the urgent need to take action on climate change. Many governments, businesses, and civil society organizations are taking steps to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and adapt to the impacts of a changing climate. Some of the actions being taken include transitioning to renewable energy. Many countries are investing in wind, solar, and other renewable energy sources to reduce their dependence on fossil fuels. Protecting and restoring natural ecosystems such as forests, wetlands, and grasslands can help to sequester carbon and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Many governments and communities are developing strategies to adapt to the impacts of a changing climate, such as building sea walls to protect against rising sea levels or developing drought-resistant crops. International cooperation. Many countries are working together through international agreements, such as the Paris Agreement, to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and limit the impacts of climate change. Overall, there is a growing awareness of the need to take action on climate change, and many governments, businesses, and civil society organizations are taking steps to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and adapt to the impacts of a changing climate. However, more needs to be done to address this urgent global challenge. Saving the world from the impacts of climate change requires collective action from governments, businesses, and individuals around the world. Here are some steps that can be taken to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and mitigate the impacts of climate change. Reduce greenhouse gas emissions. One of the most important steps to mitigate climate change is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. This can be achieved through transitioning to renewable energy sources, increasing energy efficiency, reducing waste, and adopting sustainable practices in agriculture, transportation, and industry. Protecting and restoring natural ecosystems, such as forests, wetlands, and grasslands, can help to sequester carbon and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Adopt sustainable practices in agriculture. Adopting sustainable agriculture practices, such as reducing tillage and using cover crops, can help to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from agriculture and increase soil health. Invest in research and development. Investing in research and development can help to develop new technologies and practices that can reduce greenhouse gas emissions and mitigate the impacts of climate change. Encourage international cooperation. Encouraging international cooperation through agreements, such as the Paris Agreement, can help to ensure that all countries are working together to address the global challenge of climate change. Educate and raise awareness. Educating individuals about the impacts of climate change and the steps that can be taken to address it can help to encourage more people to take action and contribute to the collective effort. Take personal action. Individuals can also take personal action to reduce their carbon footprint, such as reducing energy use, using public transportation, eating a plant-based diet, and supporting sustainable businesses and practices. Overall, addressing climate change requires a comprehensive and collaborative effort from all sectors of society,